This is section 2.5, Implicit Differentiation, day 2. So remember that slope, we can find slope of any equation by finding the derivative. So if you're asked to find a slope of a curve at a certain point, find the derivative first and then plug in the values you're given. So we want to find the slope of the graph of 3 times the quantity x squared plus y squared equals 100xy at the point 3, 1. So slope, I automatically want to think derivative. So what we're going to do the derivative, so bring it down and multiply that 2. So 3 times 2 is 6. And then x squared plus y squared. That 2 becomes a 1. Chain rule, multiply by the derivative of the inside. So the derivative of x squared is 2x. The derivative of y squared is 2y dy dx. Equals 100xy, so we have a product rule. So we have 1 d2 plus 2 d1. So 1d2 plus 2d1, I'm going to go and find all of my things that have a dy dx with them, get it all on one side, get rid of the rest of it. So I'm going to do a little bit of simplifying here quick. So I have 6x squared plus 6y squared when I put that in. So then 2x plus 2y dy dx equals 100x dy dx plus 100y. Here I'm going to have to do a bit of foiling. So we have 12x cubed plus 12x squared y dy dx. Here we have 12xy squared and then 12y cubed dy dx equals 100x dy dx plus 100y. I know it looks like a lot, but we just got to keep going. So now let's find all of our dy dx terms, get them on one side, get rid of everything else. So I have 12x squared dy dx plus 12y cubed dy dx. And then I'm going to subtract the 100x dy dx. And then on the other side, I have my 100y, and I'm going to subtract the 12x cubed and subtract the 12xy squared. On the left side, I'm going to factor out a dy dx, 12x squared plus 12y cubed minus 100x equals that 100y minus 12x cubed, 12xy squared. And then divide by what's in the parentheses on the left side. So dy dx equals 100y minus 12x cubed. This should be minus 12xy. And that's all divided by 12x squared plus 12y cubed minus 100x. So this is our derivative, but that's not the answer because the question is asking for the slope at the point 3, 1. So then we're just going to plug in 3 for x and 1 for y, and then we can figure out the slope from there. Oof, it's a lot, I understand. So let's talk about finding the second derivative. We know that finding the second derivative, we take the first derivative and then find the derivative of that. When we're doing the second derivative implicitly, you're going to get a dy dx in it somewhere. Since doing the first derivative, you solve for dy dx, you can substitute that value into your second derivative wherever you get a dy dx. So let's see what that's going to look like. So our notation for the second derivative is that d squared y dx squared. So let's first go for the first derivative. So the derivative of x squared is 2x. The derivative of y squared is 2y dy dx. And the derivative of 25 is 0. So 2y dy dx equals negative 2x. Divide by 2y, so dy dx equals negative 2x over 2y. Or we can just write negative x over y. Now, we are going to take this, and we are going to find the derivative of it. This is a quotient rule, so to find d squared y dx squared, remember we take low, d high, minus high, d low, the derivative of y is dy dx, all over low squared. I'm going to simplify this here really quickly. So d squared y over dx squared equals negative y plus x dy dx all over y squared. We have this dy dx within our second derivative. But we found out earlier that dy dx equals negative x over y. So I'm going to substitute back in. So d squared y over dx squared equals negative y plus x times negative x over y all over y squared. And we get negative y plus, or actually minus x squared over y divided by y squared. I personally don't like to have a fraction within a fraction. So I'm going to change that negative y to be negative y squared over y. And then minus x squared over y. Trying to simplify the top here. So now we get negative y squared minus x squared all over y divided by y. Now we have a fraction within a fraction, so we can flip and multiply. So negative y squared minus x squared all over y times, flip the y so it becomes 1 over y. So our answer becomes negative y squared minus x squared over y squared. And that is our derivative. That's our second derivative.